This fantasy football hits and misses plus 2021 league winners edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by BetQL. BetQL is your home for the info you need to make yourself a smarter, better. College basketball, NBA, and NHL, whatever the sport, they got you covered. Plus, use the promo code SGP30 for 30% off their premium data. Just go to BetQL.com, promo code SGP30. That's BetQL.com, promo code SGP30. We're also brought to you by Better Than Vegas. Better Than Vegas is the home for avid sports bettors, providing insights, analysis, and free betting picks. Better Than Vegas, it's like YouTube for sports betting. Make sure to subscribe to our page so you don't miss a pick. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV. We're also brought to you by Better Edge. Better Edge is a stock exchange for sports bets, allowing you to buy and sell betting positions like a stock market. The best part is it allows you to bet with no VIG. That's right, no VIG betting that's legal in 40 states. Sign up at betteredge.com, promo code SGP for a free $10 bet. That's BETTOR edge.com, promo code SGP. Ooh, welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer Dog?
Oh, happy Monday, Sean.
TGI Monday?
Is that a thing?
No. But it is when you're talking about the National Football League. I watched a bunch of FCS football, some college basketball over the weekend.
It didn't feel like the spring, right?
No, it didn't. It's weird. And FCS spring football, a lot of fun. We'll be getting into that. We're taping that one Thursday night, or sorry, at some point this week.
We think so.
And it'll probably be dropping Thursday.
A lot of ins, a lot of outs.
Got me all worked up for football, and I'm already seeing fantasy football content for 2021 bleeding in, and it got my brain thinking, got me ready to go. Just talking about the National Football League, Ryan. It doesn't get any better.
And when you hit me up saying we should do a fantasy episode, I was like, well, wait a second, right now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to use this. I think
this is before I've even gotten into my best ball addiction. Like the industry is forcing me.
Hashtag Legends Only.
Forcing my hand.
Can you draft best ball leagues right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, for real classy establishments like the FFPC, they've opened up already. I did check some other places, some of the more public outlets. I don't see them up yet.
Well, probably FFPC, use that promo code SGP over there. $25 off FFPC. So you can get in a $35 best ball for only $10, getting that $25 off. So we're going to be doing a ton of best ball stuff as well. But I think a weekly NFL show, great way. We did last week's episode predicting the NFL win totals. That still evergreen content.
And as a brand, I think we have to commit to a weekly NFL show.
Yeah, because there's always something to talk about in the National Football League.
Well, and again, we're going to get to some hilarious review on our picks.
Yes, breaking down our own game film,
but
hits and misses. And you threw this out, or I don't know how we came to it, but why not, instead of me saying what I hit and missed on, it would be more fun if we would grade each other. And
step into my office, Sean.
Yeah, I'm going to get my coach's clicker. This is like Gruden when he's there with the guy with the QB, his QB guru.
When he's talking to you in the room, here's a guy. He's watching film of you, talking to you, saying, "Here's a guy. Here's a guy that knows how to throw the Spider Y2 banana or whatever the fuck it's called."
And of course, streaming live. So if you want to give us a chat, you have a big hit or miss. Maybe something you're pissed off about. Maybe you want to put a fantasy football player, shove them in a locker. Give us a call on the locker room app. Maybe Saquon Barkley. I don't know if you can put him into the locker with his blown out ACL.
Real quick, watching. All right, let's just take it. I'm on YouTube yesterday with the kids, and I'm like, you know what? It's March Madness, girls. This is Gus Johnson. I have one of my 10 saved YouTube videos is a Gus Johnson mixtape of all his best calls. Saquon Barkley returning a touchdown for Penn State, called by Gus Johnson. Pretty good. Anyway, coming back to you're trying to throw shade on Mr. Saquon. He was hurt. That was the tough thing about the review this year is so many of these situations are just fucked because of injury. Like we were so wrong on so many guys because they just didn't play. Like Michael Thomas comes to mind.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I was the most right. We should just get to it. I think, right?
Yeah. We're going to walk through position by, or do our little position
excited.
groups. And yeah, when I was grading your misses, I tried to kind of put injury aside. I'll have to look at my notes. I feel like there's some times where you should have seen an injury coming, or they got injured, but you were also still so far off on the angle. You still deserve to be punished.
Like Christian McCaffrey, just so we're clear on the playing field, I left him, like I didn't touch that one.
Yeah. I mean, but we were both relatively high on Christian McCaffrey.
Well, we had
but
him
I'm
number
not
one.
Yeah. I'm not going to grade that one. Doesn't feel worth it grading a miss.
That's my point. But
if Christian McCaffrey, for instance, played 5 games and it was clear he was nowhere close to being a top 10 running back, then I think it's fair to grade it as a miss, even if he only played 5 games. If it was very clear,
okay.
I think
so. There's some much like the committees in college sports.
I think it's fair to look at points per game. If it was so far off, if there was enough of a sample size to know. If you had someone in their top 10, we saw enough of them to know, even if they played the entire season, they're not top 10. You can't say that about Christian McCaffrey. If he played a full season, he probably would have been top 10.
I'm glad you're prefacing like this. Perfect.
All right.
You framed it up perfectly.
Okay.
Inception, I think they call it.
Before we get to that, want to shout out our buddies over at BetQL. Ryan, been doing BetQL Game of the Week, and we are
fire.
Thanks to the info and picks we've been getting from BetQL. Simple formula on our BetQL picks. Just take one of their 5-star picks.
Take 5-star pick. Reverse engineer reason for taking 5-star pick.
Yeah, and I mean that's what's great about something like BetQL. If you're high on a certain game and then you also see BetQL, oh wait, they have it as a 5-star. Okay, I'm trusting my process. Or vice versa. If you grading something like, oh, this is a 5-unit play for me, BetQL has it as a 1 unit. Maybe you start rethinking. They lay out a good case for why, their algorithm, why they like stuff, why they don't, and they cover a bunch of sports: college basketball, NBA, NHL. They got you covered. A ton of sports book offers for your state, and the app is free to download. Google Play, App Store. Definitely check it out. We always have people asking about public money, sharp money. They got that covered as well. And if you want their premium stuff, we got a nice discount, 30% off your first subscription. BetQL.com, promo code SGP30. BetQL.com, promo code SGP30. Kramer, let's do it. I figure we start off with the tight end.
Oh, okay. Sure. Let me so we're not okay. I like it. Going from the back to the front, no pun intended.
Well, I think we did. I feel like we did our tight end podcast first.
Could have been, and we should throw out a couple things. We, the true men that we are, we did these early in the summer, early in the sim.
Well, because there was a couple, and I was looking back at my running backs, and I go, oh man, Kareem Hunt. I had a lot of him in best ball. I wonder where I had him ranked, and I didn't have him in my top 10. So and some stuff kind of comes to you later in summer. Again, can't stress doing best balls enough. I felt like I was way more prepared for fantasy after drafting a million times. And doing the best balls, I mean, again, not to be a total tout for FFPC, but like $35 best ball, those are so much better than doing a mock draft because you could win some money, but then people are playing for money, so they take them seriously. Like there's no reason you should be doing mock drafts. I'm sure there's like dollar mock drafts as well.
Well, and I'll take it a step further because I think we discussed this last year. Like the idea of doing a mock draft is silly against computers. Especially, and now like even when I was doing like some of the other options out there, when you go to the lower dollar amounts, you end up with people that just don't participate. They forget, like the DraftKings is a good example. Someone forgets. Yeah. They're auto drafting. It kind of screws up everything else. I will not again. I'm obviously a FFPC guy. I've been doing it for 10 years. But part of the reason you go there is because the people that are playing in those leagues aren't fucking around. So to your point, I think it might be fun this year, Sean, to also kind of keep a running tab, do best balls, and see how our teams change throughout the year. Because what I was going to say is these rankings from us, we stayed stubborn, we held strong to our midsummer rankings just to see. And I felt the same way because I ended up with a lot of Aaron Rodgers, and so I was like, well, let me look at the rankings, and I was like, still disappointed. Anyway, let's start with the tight end.
tight end, and we'll just go off the fantasy pros. Their top 10 tight ends: Kelsey, Waller, Tunyon, who no one saw coming. We were kind of high. I'll give ourselves credit. We were kind of high on the Green Bay tight end. I'm blanking on his name because of the Sims. The Sims are Sternberger, who lost his job in camp, and then so that kind of soured me on Green Bay tight ends in general. But Tunyon came in huge. Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, Gesicki, Logan Thomas, Rob Gronkowski, Jonnu Smith, and Jimmy Graham.
I think you don't have it set to do PPR.
Oh, you're right.
I did the same thing, and I'm like, Jimmy Graham, what the fuck? Touchdown maker.
So yeah, then switching over to PPR, it's Kelsey, Waller, Tunyon, Logan Thomas, T.J. Hawkinson, Andrews, Gesicki, Gronk, Fant. Hayden Hurst. So you're right. They changes the bottom.
Logan Thomas is like the big winner of the PPR switch just because of how much volume he was getting.
Well, Ryan, that brings me, we'll get right into it. That brings me to your miss in the tight end group, not being higher on Logan Thomas. I'm looking at your top 10.
Yeah.
Logan Thomas is not there. Arguably, I can't think of someone who's done more scouting on Logan Thomas. You've been a fan of him.
Yes.
Overall,
I was telling him through this podcast years ago that he should enter the draft as a fucking tight end. Don't be stubborn.
And he did, and
he did.
Had a really good year. All things
at first, but finally they converted him, and he ended up in a good situation. I think this even extends into the season. Sean, we traded him for a bag of peanuts. I think in the DGens.
That was really a bad idea.
It just didn't seem like he was going to ever put it together. And then all of a sudden, as it turns out with tight end, it just takes an offensive scheme or a quarterback that wants to throw you the ball a million times. Look at Darren Waller in Oakland. Same situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you want to start or do I?
Well, no,
you're making fun of me. Got it.
Yeah, I already did. I gave you your miss.
I should have. I mean, Logan Thomas is. I think the biggest thing you see with my rankings compared to yours is the lack of a true irrational, subjective homerism.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, we will get to that, but so are we doing the miss first? Because
yes,
I'm looking at your top 10, Sean, and you found a way to get 2 Eagles tight ends, which either one would have been bad. I even went and I was like, you know what? Let's give Sean a little credit. If I add the points per game together from these two guys, how would they have turned out? Well, Sean, they would have been the number 2 tight end behind Travis Kelce, which I thought was pretty. They almost got beat out by Darren Waller, but yeah, I mean, this is homerism at its finest. This is why, like, the takeaway, if you're listening to Sean tout fantasy football, by the end of this episode, you realize you should just listen to him when he's not talking from the heart. That's what you should do. So yeah, well, obviously I got to bring up Goddard and Ertz, both being on
Goddard's
the list.
at 7, Zach Ertz at 3. Although you had Ertz at 4,
that's true.
So we both kind of fell for
that injury. Do we get to count injury on that one a little bit?
Yeah,
injury / giant fucking pussy millennial. He wants out.
Yeah, I mean there were contract issues. He was playing horrible in spite of the injury.
You know who doesn't sit on the field at the end of a season knowing it's your last game as an Eagle? Someone who demanded a better contract and threatened to hold out. That's the millennial behavior at its finest. Sean, tell me where I got it right.
Sorry, I just have to point out that Magic Man Blanco saying, "Hell yeah!" He's checking in live. Hell yeah! Getting paid to listen to SGP while working on the Pooh River. Life is good. Morning, gents.
I got to bring up the YouTube.
He of course is the he works in sanitation. And again, feel free to call in on the Locker Room app. We're live on that as well. So yeah, and Magic Man also wanted to know what's next for Ertz. There were rumors that maybe he ends up with the Rams. I think maybe in a better situation, he can be somewhat involved. I don't think we're gonna ever see him be a top 5 tight end. Maybe bottom half, top 10 in a perfect situation.
And let's be fair to the situation. He was always a volume guy. We make fun of him. He never got yards after the catch. Wasn't a big red zone target. Like even on his own team, Goddard was clearly more of a red zone target.
Well, yeah, especially since they got Goddard. I mean, he had like a couple 8 touchdown years. He of course had the go ahead touchdown in the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying he strikes me as a guy that's going to go somewhere else. And if it's not a tight end friendly system, it's going to be trouble.
Yeah, I think in a perfect situation, like if he went to the Rams, I could see him being like a 8 to 12.
Is that a thing? Higbee or Everett, like are they on contract or something?
They were talking about Rams. Rams called the Eagles about inquiring about Zach Ertz. I think they'll either trade him for something super small, like a 6th or 7th rounder, or he's going to get released.
Well, I think it's closer to the maybe it's because the breadwinner of the family, Julia, wants to be closer to the USA training facility. I don't know.
That could be it, Ryan. That could be it. For your hit, I'm gonna give you a hit by saying, I don't know. I struggled to find the hit here. I give you the hit of not falling for the Dallas Goedert hype and not including him in your top 10 or top 15.
What a
backhanded. I'm gonna give you points there, Ryan, for not falling for the Dallas Goedert.
Could have given me some credit for getting Noah Fant into my top 10. I feel like that was a hot-ish take.
All right, I'll give you because I had Noah Fant 9 and you had him 10, and he actually was exactly 9 if you're looking at that PPR scoring. So I'll give you credit for our take on Noah Fant. And
I was going to say
top 10.
I also, just to be clear, I think we both were like right on point with Mark Andrews, but we're not going to address it because we don't like Mark Andrews. So we're not going to give anyone credit for Mark Andrews. And what you got right, Sean. Of course, again, not coming from the heart, coming from a pure business relationship. Gronk, you had him finishing in the top 10. What did he finish? Did I write this down wrong? Did he finish 8th? 8th.
Yeah.
All right. That's a shocking result.
Well, and I would say this too. I know I was, I called my shot with Gesicki being the number 1, but the fact that he was even 7th, I think, I don't think anyone had him top 20. So I kind of I also had Gesicki in the top 10. Yes, we were unnaturally high on Gesicki.
Well, it's the Penn State thing, and we'll get to that later. But that's one of your subjective heart angles that can destroy you. The one real takeaway is that Kelsey and Waller both outpaced the field by over 100 points.
Yeah. If you look at points per game average, I mean, Tunyon a third with Logan Thomas and Hawkinson at 11 per game. And then Darren Waller 17.4 and Travis Kelsey 20.9.
Oh my God.
Kittle actually per game average 15.6. I know you're not going to bring that up, Sean, but I think the real takeaway here is like, typically we'd say you wait on a tight end, and the lesson this year was maybe you don't wait on a tight end.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things, right? Because Kelsey and Waller, they were the consensus near the top, but Tunyon and
everything
Thomas,
else was a crapshoot.
So it's interesting how you approach it next year. You either take the top guy or you wait, I guess.
And we were both. You had Hunter Henry number 1. I had him number 4. I don't know. I mean, certainly the injury was part of it.
I'm gonna be on the hype train for him next year. Don't worry.
Yeah, I maybe in a full season.
I think he's a free agent.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. That'll be interesting to see where he lands, because I think in that new offense or whatever they do that doesn't involve Anthony Lynn, Justin Herbert could go off, and maybe the tight end does end up having a bigger role. But we'll see where he ends. I didn't realize he was a free agent.
And I'll double check that. Are we moving on to wide receiver?
Moving on to receiver. Let's do it. Let's take a look at the top 10. According to Fantasy Pros PPR, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stefan Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, and Adam Thielen. Ryan, do we have a caller?
We do. Quickly too. Hunter Henry is in his 5th year.
Oh, okay.
So it must be the 5th year option. We got the man, the myth, the legend, who's always in the locker room. Got to make you wonder what he's up to, Mr. Jong. What's good today, sir?
Fellas, how you doing today?
Great, man. Great day to be alive.
I what a great day to be alive. Inject these locker room app shows in my veins, please. Weekly. I love it. Thank you so much. I have a nominee for the locker room stuff.
Nice.
Locker room stuff would be me.
No.
Sean, much like Howie Roseman, I did not draft Justin Jefferson. I drafted Jerry Jeudy instead.
Man.
And stuffed me in the locker for that. And so
I like that. This is a good time. Self-evaluation, the off season, passing on Justin Jefferson, huge mistake, not only for Howie Roseman, but unfortunately for Jong. I mean, I see the angle of selling yourself on Jeudy in that Raiders offense. Speedy. He had a couple of those, just not enough. And Jefferson was just so far and ahead.
Turns out he does not have, what do they call it? Diamond. He doesn't have diamond hands, Jerry.
No.
And Kramer, what do I do about Saquon next year?
Oh man,
2 years in a row. 2 years ago, I did win when he had a awesome game at the end of the season. Last year, obviously, he got hurt. So do I go 3 for 3 Saquon next year, depending on where I draft.
You know, and thanks for the question, John. We're gonna let you go, so let it ride today, bro.
Let it ride. Thank you.
I think here's my take. I think just in general, more macro comment on next year. You have a lot of the escalades, as we would call them, with a lot of question. Now, specifically with Saquon, I think at some point people go from being someone who's never been hurt before. This happened to Beckham, so I have very recent experience with this. Guys, whole life never gotten an injury, then he gets the injury.
Then he gets into that New York training staff.
Well, you never had to play with your mind playing tricks on you before. It's a different element, and so we'll see if Saquon can overcome it. Obviously, he looked fine playing through a high ankle. He looked okay at the beginning of last season. I don't think you can say, okay, he's so strong and powerful. He's injury prone now because he ripped his ACL by being strong and powerful. But at the same time, and I think now with medicine, we know that ACLs are repairable. But I don't know how I'm looking at the top, like the first round next year, because you're
crazy to put,
well, I guess
put him in a first round.
At what point are you at what point do you draft a guy like Barkley, McCaffrey?
Well, again, I think
McCaffrey this is a good question, actually. Who's more reliable going into next year? A guy who's had a full year coming back from an ACL, or McCaffrey, who was kind of on and off? Like, I don't know. I mean,
I would still take McCaffrey over
I think
Saquon.
the volume,
and it's not and Saquon really, he was successful you got there because he would just have these games where he has a couple massive plays, right? Like he would need 18 carries, much like Barry Sanders, where
you're wrong. His big seasons were catch. It was PPR catch based.
All right, but he also had big runs in there. I just don't think you're going to be as explosive coming off that ACL.
I mean, that's fair. I think we've seen people come back from ACLs and get back to it. It's not quite the Achilles, but I don't know if I'm taking him top 3. I guess.
I'm not taking him top 3 rounds.
Yeah, we'll revisit this conversation in the summer because I think you'll change your tune on it. But I definitely think if you're not taking him, you think he's going to get hurt again. That's that.
If you what?
I think he's going to end up being like a late first round pick in that same range of like guys who could be a guy kind of range that people talk themselves into. I think we could have a similar experience to Aaron Jones this year with Saquon in terms of the conversation. Maybe he starts lower down the board and creeps his way up as the offseason goes on.
I think people, I think the general fantasy community, just looking at the overall consensus rankings, they're assuming Saquon's coming back and he's going to be Saquon again.
Yeah,
I think that's where the public.
And if that's the case, like I don't know if I'm slotting him in a top 3 pick.
The slot, how's the slot?
But again, like you look up and down the list of Dalvin Cook finally had his year. Derrick Henry, how many years can he continue to do this? McCaffrey, we just experienced it. Alvin Kamara might not have Drew Brees checking the ball down. Like there's just questions about all the bell cows. Anyway. All
right, so we just went through. I'll go through the receivers real quick again. Adams, Hill, Diggs, Hopkins, Ridley, Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen. Kramer, how'd I do?
Well, I mean, I think you went for the hot take, and you threw again from the heart. You said, you know what, this guy went to Penn State. I'm a big fan of Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. I'm gonna lean into the Chris Godwin angle. I like the angle in general. Obviously, by the end of the year, that passing offense was lit. The problem was they spread it around. The shocking thing for me was that Mike Evans finished 11th. I don't think had you asked me without looking at this, I would have said Mike Evans finished just outside the top 10 fantasy receivers this year. So obviously Chris Godwin,
but to that point too, Godwin actually had a higher points per game average than Evans.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you lost people some leagues if they listened to you and drafted Chris Godwin in the first round.
No, I don't think. I don't think. Obviously Godwin called my shot there, didn't come through.
I mean, are you surprised by that one? Was there? I could have gone some other ways, but I feel like it would have been slight. Like I said, the Michael Thomas thing. I thought I was going to be talking to you about Juju, but when I looked at the numbers, Juju actually finished in the top 16. It was finished 16th. which another surprising outcome. I wouldn't have guessed that Juju finished 16th.
No, he was had a real weird season. For your miss, Ryan.
Well, and real quick, the one thing that I didn't give you a miss for Julio, because I think the fact that we got the premise right of someone would pop up, it turned out to be Ridley.
Yeah.
So
I got to knock you down for Kenny Galladay, making him 7th overall.
I didn't realize he was going to be more into dancing at the club than playing football.
Well, I mean,
talk about opting out.
Yeah, he kind of quit on the season.
Kinda.
Even if you look at his average, it wasn't, even if you give him the points per game average, he's still nowhere close.
I see why you put the limit at 5 games, because you wanted to use this one. I don't know. I mean, I would have loved to see the way it played out. I think we're going to talk about some picks we like for next year. He's not one of them, but boy, if he goes to the right situation, he could be an absolute monster.
Yeah, I mean the hip injury is weird, but then it did seem like he just kind of quit on the team as well. Like so he loses some points on that.
I'm a free agent. We'll figure it out. You know what? For hits, I'll say, considering a guy who loved DK Metcalf as much as you love DK Metcalf's abs, you kind of nail. I'll say Allen Robinson and DK Metcalf. I'm going to give you a double dip here. You nailed that these guys would both be in the bottom half of the top 10. I think especially Allen Robinson, more of a consensus area, but I think you were higher on both of those guys than most. And they landed right there in the back half of the top 10.
I had Allen Robinson 7, DK Metcalf 9, which very reasonable ranking of DK Metcalf considering how high I was on him. And
well, you knew it. He was going to come out hot and then he was going to slow down, right?
Yeah, DK Metcalf 7 and then Allen Robinson 9. For your lock, Ryan, obviously got to give you credit. Devontae Adams, number 1 by a wide margin.
I'm glad we need to talk about this, because not only, yes, I hit it. He was most people's number 2. So it's not the craziest angle.
Yeah.
But he only played 14 games and he outscored Tyreek Hill, who only played 15 games. That's the crazy thing. Both these guys, he outscored Tyreek Hill by 30 points. He outscored DeAndre Hopkins and Stephon Diggs, who played all 16 games. It was Stephon Diggs the same amount as Tyreek Hill, but DeAndre Hopkins he outscored by almost 80 points. So holy shit, Sean. I mean, this is a year of years. I don't. And so moving to next year, when you're looking at the wide receiver draft, we always see a couple wide receivers drop into the first round. Michael Thomas will probably be a guy that falls out of the first round for next year because, homeboy Drew Brees isn't going to be there. I don't think. Who are you taking over? Is Adams just the obvious guy? Is Adams so good that it becomes a situation he's the only guy you take in the first round?
Yeah, I don't know. This is why it's fun to do it this far out. Have to think about. I mean, really, also that passing game for Aaron Rodgers, that was just such an outlier of a season. I mean, what did he have? 48 touchdowns or something crazy. I think for him to get to those numbers and for Devontae Adams to get to those numbers, it's crazy to, I don't know. You just have to have a crazy season once again, but then who's fading Devontae Adams right now? Like baked into this fantasy points total is all those like short touchdowns he got towards the goal line while Aaron Rodgers was kind of chasing the MVP. So I don't know if, I don't know if that same kind of juice is going to be there. I can't imagine him not being in my top 5, but number 1 overall is
pretty comparable season. 2018, 169 targets that year, only 149 this year. More catches this year, 115 to 111. Similar yardage, 18 to 13 touchdowns. Sandwiched in between was a 5 touchdown year. So obviously was injured a little bit more that year, but the regression, it feels like, from a touchdown regression, he's got to swing back. But you watch the way they play and it's like, well, how is he not going to get a touchdown every game?
Exactly. How is he not going to get it? I mean, who's fading this guy right now? It's crazy. Well, Ryan, we're talking about taking positions, and you can take a position. How about a position where you don't want to pay vig? Worst part about gambling is you gotta pay that vigorish. It's how they build those giant casinos. Not over at Better Edge. No vig betting. I mean, really. I have a whole list of other points here about why you should sign up at Better Edge.
No vig.
Throw them all out the window. No vig betting, legal in 40 states. I feel like a broken record, but that's the main reason to sign up here.
Hey guys, you know somewhere I could get down on some action this weekend?
Yeah. again, you talk about what percentage you have to be to actually become profitable at the end of the season. You know why it's not 51%? Because you're paying a VIG. It has to be at least 53%, and make it easier on yourself. Picking games are hard. Let's be honest.
I just retweeted something. Billy Walters, one of the greatest sports handicappers of all time, 57%. Do you know how much more he would have made without the VIG?
You'd be cashing
You're an
in.
idiot, Billy.
Well, don't be an idiot. Head over to betteredge.com. Use the promo code SGP, BETTOR edge.com, promo code SGP, and you get a free $10 bet.
Yeah.
No VIG on the free $10 bet. Bunch of fun contests over there, and good guys too. Betteredge.com, promo code SGP.
It's important to be a good guy.
I mean, it's pandemic. Want to support some small businesses, Ryan? Perfect time.
Good guys supporting good guys. What position's next, Sean?
Quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Let's do it. Let's get this one going right now. I mean, you had Daniel Jones ranked as
that was
the
bad.
as the bad. 9th overall fantasy football quarterback.
I believe if you go back and listen to the episode, I said something along the lines of, I'm probably going to look stupid for not dropping Aaron Rodgers in this spot, but a little bit of a homer. Yeah. When the legs were working, it becomes interesting, but then the injury, we'll see. We'll see how things go.
So you're still, let's talk quarterback.
Onward
overall.
And upward.
Do you want the Giants to draft a quarterback this year?
It's interesting. I've been reading some mock drafts, which made me think we should maybe next Monday is a mock draft episode. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm now seeing like a lot of people with the Eagles trading up to get Justin Fields buzz. I mean, I get it from the perspective of having Fields and Hurts, I guess two quarterbacks. I don't quite understand why you would do that, but Howie Roseman is kind of an enigma.
QB factory, baby.
I'm deflecting here, but yeah, I think there's I'll put it at a 10 to 15% chance the Giants draft a quarterback. I don't think
in the first round.
I don't think it's a non-starter. I do think there's a possibility.
But where you guys are at, are we talking Trey Lance territory? Would you consider trading up?
I almost think there's a scenario where they pluck someone in like this, someone who like a Mac Jones who falls to the second round or something like that.
I mean, where the Eagles are at 6, I keep going back and forth. And again, we hit on a bunch of this stuff on the Die Hard Eagles podcast. But I like Fields. If he drops you at 6, I think you almost have to take him. I don't see him getting past the Falcons at 4. So I think the Eagles, if they want Fields, would have to trade up to 3.
I think that's the buzz
to Miami, right?
That's the buzz
because it does seem like Trevor Lawrence number 1, Zach Wilson number 2. Those almost seem locked in at this point. Now Fields, I think, is the wild card there. What did the Eagles have to give up to get Miami to swap picks with them? I don't know what that haul would look like, and maybe Miami says, "Fuck it." I mean, they've been playing it close to the vest, but are they really sold on Tua? We watch those games. Does that guy look like an NFL quarterback?
I think it would be silly to overreact, but yeah, to your point, I think there's not a 0% chance that the Dolphins don't draft a quarterback.
You don't want to overreact, but when are you also going to be drafting number 3 overall?
No, I think there's that, right? Like there's that opportunity cost of you're there now, and with even if you had Tua and another guy, they're on rookie deals. It's manageable. It's not the ideal situation because you're going to deal with controversy, but it seems like Tua is willing to, share a room. I don't know. It's a messy situation. I kind of like everyone's so fucking high on these quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, I think you got to be high on, but the other guys, like if you're telling me in 5 years, like Zach Wilson is the Josh Rosen of this class, like I don't want to go watch the highlight of Josh Rosen coming back and beating Texas A&M, the legend of Josh Rosen, as Gus Johnson proclaimed. And where are we now? Now he's just an ephemeral like graphic fodder, like filling
the case to build against Zach Wilson is really easy, right? Because it's the guy doesn't have the frame of like a big quarterback, and he doesn't have he doesn't have the experience. He also wasn't a captain at BYU his last year.
What does that say?
Again, I'm not a guy.
I watched draft day. No one went to his birthday party. Let's go, Sean. What did you made fun of me, so now I get to make fun of you?
Oh, you know what? Sorry, I forgot. We didn't go through the top 10. I jumped the gun and made fun of you for picking Daniel Jones. I like how you were somewhat realistic with your top 10 quarterback and you graded him 9. Didn't want to go all the way and give him get him 10, but 9 is a very real.
You know, Sean, in the content creation business, sometimes you have to.
So the top 10 fantasy football quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill got in there, and he really had some nice games late running the ball, and then Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. I think, feel free to chime in with my miss, but I think I'm looking at it. I think both of us were at least, you had Lamar second, I had him third, but even the fact that we had him not number 1, I think was somewhat of a hit.
Yeah, I think the real story in this category. I mean, I'll make fun.
And I wanted to make fun of Dak Prescott as well. You had him 4th, but I'll give you he probably would have been 4th. No, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't. I in good conscience of keeping the integrity of the podcast, I couldn't grade you negatively for that because he was playing well at fantasy wise. Well,
and so yeah, obviously it's very easy to pick on your Carson Wentz number 5. When he actually came in 22nd, but I'm actually going to go a different angle because that's explainable. You're a homer, and you didn't put him number 1 because you wanted to look like you were being true and objective. But I'm going to go Drew Lock. I think this is probably before we realized he was a giant millennial pussy. I'm not even going to address the Gardner Minshew because his swag gets him in the top 10 list.
They did beat the Colts week 1.
Drew Lock is the absolute epitome of a millennial piece of shit pussy.
Yeah,
and you put him number 8. I understand you were high on the Broncos. I was a little high on the Broncos.
You know,
too,
sometimes it's very easy to just take like the kind of standard predictions, rebake them, and feed them out to the audience. I'm looking for some diamonds in the rough, and Drew Lock felt like he was that diamond in the rough. And yeah, I'm taking the L here.
And really, and I'll bring him on because this is right on brand, Mr. Magic Man. Because we were both. I think the mea culpa is that you and I both missed on Aaron Rodgers. I ended up with a lot of shares of Aaron Rodgers, but to have you had him off your top 10. I had him officially in 13th. Just seemed silly. Magic Man, shove us in the locker.
What's going on, brothers? I told my boss I had to go take a piss so I could call in.
Nice.
Wait, now if you work at the sanitation department, do they have a bathroom, or do you just go right into the tank?
I mean, if we really want to get ghetto, I could go right in the tank. But
skip the middleman.
Right there's a little bit off. Don't want to make anybody jealous while going.
Oh man, yeah. Talking about that huge hog, I like it, Magic Man.
So Sean, are you sure you don't want some Jordan Love trade talks for the Eagles here?
Oh, that's it. I mean, I'll put it this way. I am kind of open to, if they don't draft a quarterback number 6, I am open to exploring some other options. Like if Sam Darnold, if you can get Sam Darnold at a decent price, he's a guy that maybe could be fixed.
With a simple system, maybe.
No, I mean, again, I think someone's going to fall in love with Sam Darnold and overpay for him.
I need to write this down. Hold on.
That one's not really.
February 22nd, 2021. Sean is starting the spin train on why Sam Darnold could be a decent.
If we get a year of SGP going back and forth to Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, I'm fucking in love.
I'm gonna have to kill myself.
Two different classes of quarterback there.
Magic Man, any fantasy football thoughts? Big hits, big misses?
I mean, when you look at it, boys, I mean, you guys nailed it. Aaron Rodgers kind of outperformed MVP. You got Tunyon, you got to go for him for as far as the tight end. Adams, how do you ever go against them? Now, the real question will be the running back next year. As far as them, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold Jones or Williams. So maybe AJ Dillon. I'm hearing they're starting to look at other people in the draft. So
AJ Dillon could be he could be a sneaky guy if they get away from some of those goal line passes. They lose Aaron Jones in free agency, and Dillon by default just gets a bunch of goal line looks. He could be kind of frisky.
Well, I think you're now seeing why they took Dillon. I think there's no way this franchise does not seem like the type of franchise that's going to roll out the big bucks for a running back.
No.
Aaron Jones lead. And so maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later on, Sean, but Magic Man, got anything for us today? Little DGen action.
Hey boys, I've been following the dance base lately. I've been living and dying by him as far as all his college games. And I mean, that New Mexico State play, Kramer, whew, that kind of came back and bit me in the ass, but that's all right.
Hey, you should have listened to us. Colby and I were on Tarleton State, man. That's the way to go.
I agree, but Kramer came in so high. I mean, how do you go?
He did. He
that?
really. We have to pull the
I
audio.
stand by my math. 80 scholarships is way bigger than 35. Turns out
I had to go full DJ. And I'm like, dude, the guy's got the math going on. I've got to play that.
I went half my lock. My Wofford Terriers got it done. You're welcome. Covered the spread.
They did. That's what you guys have been killing it, man. So I appreciate it, boys. Like I always tout for Colby. I was like, dude, I paid my car payment off your Maryland pick alone. So I mean, how do you not go with that GP?
He's giving out car payments, and I'm gonna drop the college basketball picks page in the YouTube chat. So make sure you bookmark that one.
All right. Well, thanks, Magic Man. Best of luck with the
boys.
picks.
Cheers,
Cheers.
bro.
Have
Let
a
it
good day.
ride. All right. So we're talking. We're getting into it here in the quarterback spots. Kramer, grade me. Give me my hit or my miss. You were saying it was too easy to grade Carson Wentz as a miss.
Oh no, and I was saying Drew Lock.
Oh, Drew Lock.
But your hit, and I don't know if I'm talking out of turn now.
No, go for it.
It's obvious. Josh Allen, baby.
I feel like I haven't brought it up on the podcast.
Well, and I, it's easy for me to point out that you did well picking Josh Allen, but I wanted to take it a little deeper. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes both missed some games this year. I'm sorry, Patrick Mahomes was a game. Josh Allen didn't. He outscored Patrick Mahomes literally by the 1 game average they both shared, which was 25 and change. Mahomes just barely squeaked him out. But here's the interesting thing: week 6 through 8, when Josh Allen was hurt, we talked about this. They kind of had a lull. He was 15th during that stretch with only 15 points per game, and he still managed to average 25 points per game, being the number 1 quarterback. Obviously, the legs mattered. Just the way this team played all year helped, right? They played like a team that didn't give a fuck. I think it's hard to carry that year to year. And I think for all practical purposes, I think you just have to stay away from Josh Allen next year because he's going to be going off the board way too high.
Yeah, I mean,
but it was a great pick. I mean, I don't think too many people were throwing Josh Allen up there on the top of
no,
list.
I don't even think was he in most people's top 10s. I know you had him in the top 10, but no one had him in top 5. Like that was I think
he was a consent. So I think the Mahomes. So if you look at my rankings, actually, I think they were pretty close to consensus. But you had those 7 quarterbacks that could use their legs and their arm. Mahomes, not really, but Mahomes, Jackson, Wilson, Prescott, Allen, Watson, and Murray. I think those were most people's top 7. But I don't think many people had Josh Allen up above maybe Kyler. But I don't know if they had him above any of the other guys.
Yeah. And again, I'm the man. Nailed Josh Allen. That felt great.
I feel like you should have cashed more money for that. I don't know if there's a bet. Maybe we need to do a better job of correlating our season props with our fantasy predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I did do well with him in best ball, and I just made like a decent run in some of the best balls with Josh Allen, and all my Josh Allen teams did really well, relative. But yeah, wish there was a bigger payday for just nailing. There should have been some sort of like prop at most fantasy football points at the quarterback position. I would have cashed
some sportsbook needs to do that. I'm sure but like head to head fantasy point prop, preseason, season props,
yeah,
that's a fun way to do it.
For your cash, Ryan, I would say, I'll give you, Deshaun Watson, you had him 6th. He came in 5th.
I don't really have anything that stands out as a good pick other than I did have Mahomes number 1, and he was the number 1 per game quarterback.
No, and you had Mahomes over Lamar Jackson.
Went out on a limb.
Yeah, again, you were pretty chalky with the exception of Daniel Jones and Matt Stafford getting in there. And so, yeah, I mean, Deshaun Watson, you were off by 1 position. I'll give you that as a solid lock there.
Kind of a mess.
Can hang your hat on that one.
Let's move on.
Move over to the running back position.
Also a mess.
Well, again, a little chalky, but I'll give you Alvin Kamara. You had him number 3, Ryan, and I think he finished right there. I'm sorry, let me switch to PPR.
I think he finished number 1, right?
Yes, PPR he finished number 1. So you were right there with Alvin Kamara. I mean, again, the running back, the top part of the running back, kind of got blown up because of McCaffrey being hurt and Saquon being hurt. Although I had Saquon 4th, so
the irony
I was closer on Saquon.
Is if you look at the consensus, the the guys who everyone was scared to take, that middle tier of Cook and Henry.
Yeah,
those were the guys this year. So
yes.
it's super interesting. Yeah, I mean it's a mess. I don't know how you really can grade much of anything. I kind of, I don't remember if I docked you. I think I gave you a pass on Sanders again because you're a homer. Even though him at number 2, that was not a good look. He finished number 23 on the season. But what I actually docked you for was James White. James White in the top 10. That's how you lose people leagues. 42nd overall, never really popped up. We should have knew. I don't know if you saw the video of Cam Newton getting heckled at his own football camp.
No, I saw it. I didn't click on it. What'd the guy say?
I didn't listen to it. It seemed like Cam Newton was really affected. I think the kid basically said, "You a free agent." So Cam Newton getting trolled by a high school kid. New rule: we are fading offensive players on a Cam Newton offense.
And I thought by drafting James White, I was fading Cam Newton because I knew. No, I'm serious.
We didn't even fade him right.
Well, no, I didn't. Yeah, obviously I was wrong there because I thought Cam Newton would have to throw to the ball to the running back a lot, that they would get the running backs involved in the passing game. And they certainly should have more, because I knew he wasn't able to throw the ball downfield. Like just watching him leading up to it, like people thought I was crazy for dubbing him Sham Newton. I've been out on this guy for so long. It's getting exhausting.
It is tiring. The world needs to hear more about your Sham Newton takes, Sean.
Oh, and now everyone's like, oh yeah, Cam, he's injured. He's not the guy. Like, yeah, no shit. I said that like 5 years ago. Got zero credit.
Congratulations,
Kramer. Your miss. And
I have a fun nugget before you actually throw it out. Throw it out. I'll come back.
Your miss.
That is a disgusting act.
You had Zeke Elliott, Ryan. Of all the people, you had him number 4. I mean, what were you thinking, Ryan?
Good transition, because the actual number, I don't know. Just that offense combined with that defense seemed like a formula for points. Turned out that Zeke Elliott is just a piece of shit who doesn't want to play football anymore. Feels a little bit like football's Kyrie Irving.
I mean, Tony Pollard is like Cowboys fans wanted Tony Pollard to play over Zeke
Running
Elliott.
back's an effort position.
And we can look at all the stats we want. And yeah, they had issues with their offensive line, but come on, Zeke.
It's an effort position. But yeah, speaking of the number 4 overall running back, did you go through the list?
Oh no, sorry.
I'll give it out real quick. Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery. That all on the heels of just a tear down the stretch. Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, another guy who went off down the stretch. Who Jonathan Taylor, by the way, I think he was a top 4 in standard scoring. James Robinson in 7th, Josh Jacobs 8th, Zeke Elliott still 9th, Sean. So I feel like you're being a little aggressive talking shit to me. And then Kareem Hunt 10th, who, by the way, Kareem Hunt outscoring Nick Chubb. Well, barely, even though he played 4 more games.
Well, and yeah, I don't know why I didn't have Kareem Hunt in my top 10 when we did this list, because I was high on him and mentioned him a million times at best ball. He just kind of fell through the cracks in my process there.
I also was shocked that you didn't have Antonio Gibson. I feel like you were talking about him a lot.
Oh yeah, he was again, he was a guy just threw out in best ball.
I think we need to go top 20 in the future. I think we need to go a little deeper so we can get more credit for these deep pulls. Or maybe we need to just track the sleepers we call out, because I definitely think you called out Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, and the best balls that I had a couple of best ball teams that did well, and they were ones that had Antonio Gibson, because Ron Rivera even said we see a Christian McCaffrey type role for them. So roll for him.
And here's a big takeaway from me: Washington was able to support 2 running backs in the top 20. Mostly through the passing game, with Antonio Gibson at 13, JD McKissic at 17.
Yeah, I mean, McKissic had a couple of those like 10 target games with Alex Smith. It was insane.
It just feels like when we're looking at the Washington football team next year, the ceiling on some of their fantasy players has got to go up, because their offense was historically bad this year. And granted, that's how some of this scoring happened, but there are points to be between the PPR points from the running backs and the tight end. There is a lot of food to be distributed. Well,
and it'll be interesting to see Heineke. I mean, if he's going to be an actual running quarterback, that could be kind of frisky for them. A lot up for grabs in that Washington offense.
And then, yeah, I don't know if I gave you credit for the one you hit, but Aaron Jones, you had him, I think, in 5th. Or you had him 6th, and he ended up 5th. kind of right on. And I think even with that take, it felt like we were higher than most.
Yeah,
on Aaron Jones, because it felt like everyone was just down on the Packers this year.
No, and we certainly picked our spots to be down or high on them. But yeah, no, Aaron Jones, everyone's like, oh, it's regression. But I still thought he would have a pretty, decent year. I feel like a lot of people didn't have him in his top 10 just because they got cute. David Montgomery, he's an interesting guy here at number 4. I mean, he's certainly, I don't see the fantasy public trusting him.
Well, Cohen
to
comes
draft
back.
him that high.
Tariq Cohen coming back is a big deal. I think this Bears team has just looked like a team that's wanted to use multiple running backs. The difference though, I think, is maybe now that they have a guy, I just don't think you can expect that 20+ point per game pace he was giving you down the stretch. Yeah. Honestly though, if I am a fan of the Bears or just someone tracking fantasy football, if Trubisky somehow what are the chances Trubisky's the starter there next year?
It's weird because it would involve them signing him to a contract and extending him because they declined his 5th-year option. So I don't see there's any way he's back.
In a weird way, I think like he almost helped David Montgomery's value.
Oh, I think definitely. Because when he started running a bunch after he came in, after Foles took over, their offense was kind of a different offense. And they played it. They had some good matchups against defenses where they could kind of exploit that. But him as the running quarterback, doing some read option stuff with Montgomery definitely opened things up. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, who knows who their quarterback is?
But you look at this list, right? And this is generally how we start to formulate next year's top 3 or top 5. Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, probably on a new team, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs. To me, for the strangest, I'm trusting 6, 7, 8. I'm trusting Jonathan Taylor. I'm trusting James Robinson. I'm trusting Josh Jacobs more than David Montgomery, I think.
Yeah, it does feel like people won't be high on David Montgomery.
Volume just seems there.
Okay, Kramer. Yeah, we're talking about 2021. Let's get a look ahead. Throw out some early league winners for 2021, guys. We have our eye on. Before we do that, want to shout out Better Than Vegas. That's right. You want free video picks? Go to betterthan.vegas. That's right. Experienced handicappers, people know their stuff, giving out free video picks, including the SGPN crew, Pick Dundee, our boy Moonoff. We got the whole crew over there giving out picks over on Better Than Vegas. And again, go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BTV. Hit that link. It'll take you right to the Better Than Vegas profile page, or our Better Than Vegas profile page. Smash that subscribe button, as the kids say, so you never miss a free video pick. Better Than .Vegas. League winners, Kramer, and this is very early. There still is a draft, free agency, a lot up for grabs, but just people you have on your board looking forward. I'll get the homer one out of the way.
Don't say Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders.
Oh.
What? Miles Sanders.
2 years in a row, you're coming back to this well.
No, not 2 years.
You gave him out as number 2 last year.
Yeah,
league winner.
No, and I'm saying this year I think he has a nice formula for a bounce back year. They're going to get a lot of. I mean,
where's he getting picked?
That's the thing.
Second round.
I'm banking on the fact that he's going to be late second, third round, maybe even farther down. I think he's going to slip through the cracks.
We got to start doing best ball, so we know where this shit's gonna. My anticipation is that he's probably sitting in a second round grade right now, or second round ADP right now. Simple systems probably good for the running back. So
and they get a huge part of their offensive line healthy in the same way that Mitch Trubisky being a running quarterback helped open things up for David Montgomery. I think we could see something similar for Miles Sanders. And a part of the reason why there was a disconnect with Doug Peterson was he wasn't getting the ball enough to Miles Sanders.
So I'm going to give you, let's play a game then, because Miles Sanders finished around these guys, and it's kind of a fun exercise. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, J.K. Dobbins, Austin Eckler, Myles Gaskin. They all finished in the same range as Miles Sanders. Any of those guys, because one of my guys, and this is maybe in the same vein of your Miles Sanders, like it seems, I won't use this as one of my picks because it seems too obvious, but it does feel like J.K. Dobbins is ready to take a big step. We saw it down the stretch. there is a chance that he's going to be drafted lower than your Jonathan Taylors of the world, guys who did a little bit more this year. So I think, sometimes you can win a league with a good second, third round running back pick. I think J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, they fit that same mold of a guy who really could end up being the absolute bell cow.
Well, and I guess the thing that would scare me off Dobbins a little bit is what's his role going to be in the passing game?
Ingram just got pushed to the side. I think they still like Gus Edwards, but Dobbins looked like it seems like they're heading in a trajectory.
But I guess I'm just saying the Ravens in general, do they get a ton of throws to the running back?
No, I don't know. I mean, it seems like if anyone's going to get it,
he had 18 catches rookie year.
My answer to the question would be Eckler. Like I think out of all those guys, I trust Eckler the most just because of what that offense looks like. That offense in a bad situation looked great. So anyway, my first guy, this guy's going to win a league next year because who knows how low he's going to get drafted. We love the Colorado Buffs who have a mascot that is a bison. I loved watching the North Dakota State bison. They really emphasize the zun. Laviska Shenault.
Ooh.
Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't imagine this dude's getting drafted in the top 7 or 8 rounds. Maybe. Look, Urban Meyer is a guy who knows how to fall in love with Tim Tebow, and he also knows how to get his athletic playmakers the fucking ball.
Yeah,
you're gonna have a rookie quarterback. I just don't see anyone on. James Robinson's fun. I think he's a high floor guy. They have some receivers who are more traditional receivers. Shenault is gonna get involved in this. Well, Ryan,
offense. this is perfect time because one of my league winners is James Robinson.
Oh,
right now
both went to the Jags.
Right now, Fantasy Pros has him ranked running back 20. I mean, the guy ran hard, and a guy who works hard, works his tail off. Isn't that the kind of guy Urban Meyer is going to go out of his way to reward? Like James Robinson just seems the type of guy, a hard ass college coach is like, this is how you play football. He's a guy who's like all about culture and doing things the right way. Isn't that James Robinson, like the hungriest dude out there? He had 49 catches in his rookie year, 1,400 total yards. And how do you help a rookie quarterback? You get the screen game going. You get him involved in the passing.
My concern is that Urban Meyer is going to want another. I think Urban Meyer is going to. I know he's had solo guys in college before, but my take on that would be he would have multiple guys.
And maybe that's where this gets derailed. We'll see what their backfield starts looking like. But the effort that we saw out of James Robinson, just eye test, and the fact that he worked his ass off to get onto that team and to be a star. I think Urban Meyer is going to be all over it.
I'm seeing Laviska Shenault ranked same rankings, the fantasy, but 49 for wide receivers. So, he's definitely a guy that you're going to be. It looks like he's going late 6.
So you said Chenault's 49.
49.
Yeah.
So that again, I think you want to look at guys who could end up with a lot of volume. We saw his target share growing. That's the kind of stuff I like to look at. End of the season, are they getting him more involved? I know it's a new coach and everything, but it just seems odd that Urban Meyer wouldn't. Like, to me, Shenault could be another running back. Like Shenault could be in the backfield. Shenault could be doing things like that. Anyway, your next guy.
Oh, I gave out 2. What's your second?
I mean, I think you stick in the receiver game. And I think this is a guy that we've talked about. We were very high on him last year. It kind of derailed our season a little bit, but I don't know how low Courtland Sutton will go. And for a guy who could be a bona fide top tier receiver, if things fall right, again, horrible situation. He got hurt. Judy's now there. They've kind of established some other playmakers. Noah Fant. Sutton joins back if they can figure out the fucking quarterback situation.
What if Deshaun Watson ends up getting traded to Denver? Wouldn't you be happy that you did some early best balls, maybe over at FFPC using promo code SGP and locked up some Sutton shares?
I just think when you see where he's going in drafts, again, it looks like he's going kind of 3rd, 4th round. And again, I think the upside is there. I think we saw a guy emerging as a bona fide stud, and we saw Jerry Jeudy, maybe not the stud. So I like his upside this year. I think wide receiver is kind of one of those. So I'll switch to running back for my last one, but yeah, I'm going to go Courtland Sutton here. It feels like he might be a forgotten man with that offense.
This one's an interesting one. Deontay Johnson. He's right now wide receiver 23. To me, that feels way too low.
Yeah.
He had 144 targets, 88 catches on those 144 targets. There's certainly a world where he gets more efficient, converts on some more of those targets. And, you know, assuming Big Ben is back, he seems to love Deontay Johnson. Even Big Ben's not back. I think there's going to even be more.
Part, right?
Well, no, because I think they're going to lose Juju, and I think Deontay Johnson's going to even get a bigger target share. Like I think there's a world where Deontay Johnson leads the league in targets next year.
I mean, certainly if the offense stays the same. I think the problem is that I think you just like, will someone not named Big Ben play with the same zero fucks to begin?
I think but I think Deontay is so explosive. Like they go out of their way to get him the ball. And even in those games where he got benched for drops, he still came back later in the game and got a bunch more targets. Like I just, as long as Tomlin is there, I think Deontay Johnson is going to be getting some targets.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing.
And 23 feels just way too low. Like I have a feeling when we come to actually grade the receivers, he's going to creep into my top 10.
Okay. Next up, I'm going to give you a running back, Sean, and you can kind of dive deep into some of these lists, and you can take a stab here, you can take a stab there. I could tell you like, hey, keep an eye on Darrington Evans because Derrick Henry's finally getting hurt. But I think the league winner you definitely have to grab. We talked about him earlier. AJ Dillon's going to be a starting running back. I think I don't. From what I understand, both guys I think are free agents, Williams and Jones. So AJ Dillon again in that 3rd to 4th round range. It looks like right now. Here's the hot take. AJ Dillon is going to be drafted in first round. What? I think AJ by the time like most people are drafting Labor Day weekend, I think there's a chance that he sneaks into some first rounds because he is going to be the starting guy.
That's insane. I mean, I guess it makes sense because if he's going to get all that volume, those goal line looks.
The other guy in the same range, ranking wise,
still be pretty decent.
I know I'm cheating, but Raheem Mostert. Like at some point, you just got to take whoever Shanahan rolls out there. And I think you're going to have another scenario this year where if you get the San Francisco running back correct, you could be especially best. In fact, I'll say this in best ball early season when things aren't kind of efficient yet, just draft all the San Francisco running backs.
Yeah. One of those guys.
I mean, you're going to have to spend the most equity on Mostert with probably a 4th round pick, but after that you can just load up and just get the running attack. So
nice.
Do you have anyone else?
Nope. Those are my 3 league winners. Anyone else you got, Ryan?
While we've been talking, the chat is just scheming up a way to have more DGen fantasy football going on. So
#DegenZone.
I'm sure we'll be getting some more fantasy football going. Love these weekly NFL pods. Our weekly NFL offseason pod going to be burning through the offseason. Of course, we'll be talking college basketball, college football, FCS. We're going to be doing it all.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Make sure we're taping this on Monday, aka Merch Monday. Every Monday, pick a random review to hook up with some SGP merch. Leave your review so you don't miss out on your chance to win. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
You didn't ask me, but we got to recycle the name. Adam Troutman, sleeper tight end next year, New Orleans Saints, when Jameis Winston comes into the fold.
Jameis Winston, Kramer, let it ride.